Hello, everyone. I'm Grayson. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and Head of Product for PERRLA. Welcome to our Friday office hours with PERRLA. We've got a couple things that we're going to cover today that are sort of some new things as well as some classics that we always like to make sure that we touch on with anybody. We are going to have time at the end of this to answer any kind of impromptu questions that users may have. Anything that you sort of want to know about how PERRLA works, about APA or MLA, and how you can use PERRLA to get those best papers and references. We are going to be recording the session today, and then we're going to be hosting that on YouTube later on, so that you can watch it again later. We also have got some support people with us here today, Brian and Shane. They're going to be helping to watch chat. So if you have a question in the middle of this, feel free to drop in chat. I'm going to try to keep my eye on it so that if it's a question about what we're covering, we can jump in and answer it right away. If not, they'll be able to get you a question. And like I said, we'll be taking questions at the very end. So one of the things I always like to cover whenever we start any kind of presentation or webinar is that we have an amazing customer support team. Our support team is really out of this world. They're first class. We work every day until 10 p.m. Central Time, and we work via email so that you can get in touch with us and we can get you a response when you need it. You can email them at support@perrla.com, or you can also contact them through our applications. There's the help forms inside of our applications. We also have a help center at perrla.com/help. We'll cover all this again at the end, but we've got tutorials, articles, videos, all sorts of stuff there that's always available on hand. So if you ever have any questions about how to use PERRLA or how it works, they're there. They want to help. We want to make sure that you have a great experience using PERRLA. So with that, let me share my screen, and we will sort of dive right in. Well, welcome to our office webinar. Like I mentioned, today we're going to cover three major things and then some questions. One is our brand new Google Chrome extension. We are really excited to be rolling out a Google Chrome extension that's going to allow you to create references, citations, and access your PERRLA reference library from wherever you're at. So we're going to talk about how we can install that, how you can actually install it on Microsoft Edge, if that's the preferred browser you want to use, how you can use the extension to create references and create citations, and then copy those references and citations wherever you're writing, not just inside of PERRLA. Next thing we're going to talk about is searching for references. We're going to talk a little bit about how the reference search works, about some things that you may be able to search for to help have a better search experience. And then we're going to talk about one of the new features that we've just rolled out, which gives you the ability to change your reference type when you're searching for those references. Third thing we're going to talk about, customizing citations. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you can customize your citations inside of PERRLA, whether you're omitting parts of citations, whether you're merging citations together, talking a little bit about content controls, and then I'm going to give you a sneak peek into a change that we're going to be making to citations and content controls that we'll be rolling out at the end of this semester, so sort of over that winter break. Lastly, we'll wrap up with just some impromptu questions. If anybody has questions about anything, we'll dive in and we'll get those sorted and play around with it together while we're here. Like I mentioned already, you can always reach out to our customer support team at support@perrla.com. Okay, let's dive into the very first one, our Google Chrome extension. So here I am. I'm going to move my little window out of the way inside of Google Chrome. And if you notice in the top right corner up here, there is our PERRLA eyeball. This is the PERRLA Chrome extension. I'm going to be able to open it inside of Google Chrome, and it's going to give me access to my entire reference library and the ability to create new references, create citations, and copy those references and citations to my clipboard so I can paste them wherever I'm writing. Let's start out by talking about how in the world do we install this thing. So I'm going to take and I'm going to click the little puzzle piece beside the PERRLA icon. This is the extensions icon, and it's actually the same inside of Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge, where you can access the PERRLA Chrome extension. Down here at the very bottom, I'm going to go to Manage Extensions. All right. And this is going to open up a new page for us inside of Google Chrome where I can see the extensions that I have installed. I've got quite a few. I really like the way that these work. So So with this, let's actually take and uninstall PERRLA first. So I've got PERRLA right here. I'm just going to take and go ahead and remove this so that way we can see how to add it together. All right, now that I'm here, you'll follow this same step. You're going to choose the menu over on the left. And then in the bottom left, there's actually a button for Open Chrome Web Store. This is going to open up the Chrome Web Store where you can find all of the extensions or themes or things that you use to customize Google Chrome. In the top left, I'm just going to type in PERRLA, P-E-R-R-L-A. That's it. Here's PERRLA. We're the one and only one. So I'm going to choose this, and I'm going to choose Add to Chrome. This is it. It really is this simple. It's going to check, and it's going to say, hey, are you sure you want to do this? We're going to be able to read data on your websites. What that means is that when we go to search for websites, we can actually pull the information back from it. And it's going to allow you to copy and paste out of it. I'm going to click Add Extension. Google Chrome is going to do its magic, and that's it. We've added the Google Chrome extension, the PERRLA Chrome extension into Google Chrome. A lot of Chromes there. Now, if I click this puzzle piece icon, the extension icon, and I come down, I can see PERRLA right here in my list. Now, I always like to see the PERRLA icon and not have to choose the menu. So beside it, there's this little thumbtack icon. You can choose that, and that's going to pin that extension to your menu so that it's always visible up here inside of the menu bar. All right, before we look at how to use this, let's actually look at Microsoft Edge, because there's another step that we need to go to if you're using Windows Microsoft Edge browser to install an extension. My cat is going to be making some noise, so I hope you don't mind. So here I am inside of Microsoft Edge, and this is going to be the same whether you're on Mac or you're on PC. We're going to choose that same puzzle piece icon up here on the top right for extensions. And then we're going to go to manage extensions, just like we did inside of Google Chrome. Now, two things here. One, in the bottom left, we need to check this little radio button here for allow extensions from other stores. This is going to allow us to install a Google Chrome extension in Microsoft Edge. So we will just make sure that that's turned on, that's flipped on, it'll be green or it'll be blue. Once we do that, then just over here to the right, can't find what you're looking for, you can also get extensions from the Chrome Web Store. That's the link that we want. We're going to click Chrome Web Store. It's going to open up the exact same Chrome Web Store that we saw previously. Same thing here. Search for PERRLA. We're going to choose PERRLA. And then at the top, we're going to choose Add to Chrome. Yes, I know this is not Chrome, but we're going to choose Add to Chrome anyways. You'll do that, and it's going to add PERRLA into your extensions dropdown, just like before. And instead of it being a thumbtack to pin PERRLA to your menu bar, inside of Edge, it's a little eyeball. And so you can click the eyeball, and that'll keep PERRLA right here inside of your menu at all times. All right, awesome. I don't really like Edge too much. I really like Chrome because it's just got everything that I have saved into it. So let's hop back over into Chrome and look at how we can actually use the Chrome Google extension, the Google Chrome PERRLA extension, I'll get it right eventually, to create some new references. So I'm going to close out of all of this, and let's go to an article that I've been looking for. So one of the primary things that we really think that the Chrome extension is great for is creating references while you're doing your research. You know, the preparation for writing a paper happens long before you create that initial document. And with the PERRLA Chrome extension, I'm able to take and create PERRLA references for the things that I'm looking at online while I'm doing my research for my paper, so that when I get to writing my paper, all of those references have already been created and are sitting inside of my PERRLA reference library, waiting on me to start writing. So in this one, I found a great article that I love from the Journal of Biogeography, talking about the distribution of Sasquatch sightings across the American Northwest. This is absolutely the kind of article that we want to use all the time here at PERRLA. And so what I'm going to do is I need to add this to my PERRLA reference library. I'm going to start off by clicking the PERRLA icon in the extension menu. Since this is the first time I've done this, I need to log in at perrla.com with my PERRLA account. This is the same PERRLA email and password that you use to log into the add-in or log into PERRLA Online. First time you do this, it's going to go through and it's going to sync with your reference library. So it may take a couple seconds longer than normal because I have a whole bunch of references that it's having to sync to my computer. All right. We're going to take and we're going to create a new reference for this article. So I'm going to take and I'm going to choose out of the PERRLA drop-down menu, create a new reference right here. Now, I could take, and I know that this is a journal article, and I could choose journal, or I could take and I could copy the DOI off of the page, which is a great way to search for journal articles, paste it into here. But I can also take, and inside of the Google Chrome extension, you have a new option that you don't have inside of the add-in or PERRLA Online, and that's to use the current page. So I'm going to choose that, and it's going to look for my reference using the URL for the website that I have pulled up currently. Now, that website has a DOI inside of it, and so we're able to identify that, hey, this is actually a journal article and not a website. So we're going to take and we're going to search for that DOI, and we're going to be able to pull back all of the bibliographic information for that reference. So for instance, I've got the author, J.D. Lozier, MPNELO, and then there should be an M.J. Hickerson. Look there, right there. It's also going to pull back our article title based off of what we find in the DOI database, the journal name, publication year, volume number, issue number, page numbers, and that DOI number. Now, we always show this information because it's important that you read through and check it for correctness. We're pulling this information from third-party databases. So for this instance, because it's coming from Crossref, or a DOI, it's coming from Crossref, which is the largest DOI database in the world. But that information is dependent on what publishers put in. So sometimes publishers don't always get that information quite right. So in this instance, there's actually the N in North and the A in America both need to be capitalized. So I'm going to make sure that I capitalize the N and the A there. And then I'm just looking through this. Usually this is pretty spot on, but every once in a while, it's good to just make sure that things like capitalization, and we give you some help text here about how to capitalize inside of the APA or the MLA format. Always good to check. All right, this looks fantastic. I've got a great reference right here. So I'm going to choose next. This is where I could put in some optional content. So if I want to add description or some tags, to my reference, this would actually show up later on, but we're not going to worry with that. We're just going to click create. That's it. Here you go. I've got a perfect reference built inside of my PERRLA reference library, ready to go. Let's check out that one more time, but let's do something different. Maybe a YouTube video. Here I've got a YouTube video, unbelievable evidence of Bigfoot from the Travel Channel, that reputable source of Bigfoot information. I'm going to take and I'm going to search or create a new reference. I'm going to use the current page once again. It's going to search based off the URL of the website. And because it's YouTube, we actually know that this is a streaming video type of reference. Group or organization, it's the Travel Channel. We're pulling that from the YouTube channel right here. The video title, Unbelievable Evidence of Bigfoot, Expedition Bigfoot Travel Channel. So here, once again, we're just going to make sure that this information is capitalized correctly. Expedition Bigfoot. This is actually going to be a subtitle, and then we'll get rid of that last bit. People can put all sorts of stuff for their YouTube titles, and so this is a way to kind of simplify it or make it a little more concise, or like the APA likes. Publication date, July 11th, 2022, YouTube and our URL. This looks fantastic. Let's go next and let's go create. Perfect. Now I've got both of these references just sitting here waiting for me in my reference library. Now, when I go over to PERRLA Online or I go into the add-in, I'm going to be able to open up my reference library and find both of those references sitting there ready for me to use them inside of my paper. But let's say I want to use them right now, actually. If I've got a discussion post, perhaps, that I'm working on, I could be writing it in Blackboard. I could be writing it in, there's all sorts of different ways that schools use online forums. But that I've got to do a discussion post. I got to do them quite frequently, and that I'm going to be putting them into some sort of forum. I don't want to create a whole new document, download it, copy it, paste it. I just want to be able to write a small, short response and then put in just a couple references at the end. My professor is not even really that interested in the APA being perfect, just that I'm citing things. Well, that's a great time when the Chrome extension really excels, because you can take, and here, for instance, we're pretending I'm inside of Google Doc. I don't actually have a school online forum to put into. I can copy and paste those references into my discussion post. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create a reference section right here. Now, this is not PERRLA, so it's not automatically formatted correctly for us and all of those wonderful things like PERRLA does inside of Microsoft Word or inside of PERRLA Online. Let me get that correct. All right, got that there. Now I can take and I can go up here to my PERRLA Chrome add-in. And I can take, and I want, let's say I want both of these references to be inside of this discussion post. I can come right here and choose copy reference underneath the reference that I want to use, copy to clipboard, and I can come in here and I can paste. I'm actually going to go edit, paste, just like that. And it's going to paste my reference using all of the correct italics and punctuation for the APA or the MLA format like I need. Now, like I mentioned, this is not doing the pre-formatting of like hanging indent like PERRLA does for me. So I'll have to do that here in just a second. But let's also copy this travel reference right there. Perfect. All right, so let's take both of these, and now I can make those minor modifications that are needed if your professor requires them. Some professors don't require things like hanging indents and stuff like that inside of discussion posts. That's great. Now I've got those references. They're formatted correctly, and they're inside of my document. Now, what about citations? I know that I've got, let's say, Bigfoot is an icon within the fringe subculture of cryptozoology, an enduring element of popular culture. I actually need to take and quote cite where I got that from, which is actually from the Lozier reference itself. So I can come here into my PERRLA Chrome extension, and underneath the Lozier reference, I can click Create Citation. This is going to allow me to create a custom citation for that reference. So let's say this actually came from page 56. Actually, it came from page, let's see, 1624. As we can see, this is really deep into that. Right there. Now I can see here's a preview of my citation. I'm going to take and click copy right here. That's going to copy it to the clipboard. Now I can come back here. I can put my cursor in there. I can just hit Command or Control V to paste that in, or edit, paste, just like that. And boom, I've got my citation right there waiting for me. Let's do that one more time, but let's do it for the travel channel. Right here. All right, and we'll go to the travel channel, create citation. Here, I've got travel channel 2021. And there's not a page number because it was a YouTube video, but there's actually a timestamp. So let's put 1 minute and 4 seconds into our value here for a custom citation. I'll click copy. And then where was it? Right here. This is where I need to put it. I'm going to go, we'll use edit, paste, just like that. We've got a beautiful citation, and we've got great references right here inside of our discussion post that we can use PERRLA to create and generate those references and citations, and then just put them right into wherever we're typing. Now, if you're really fancy, this is also one way where you could use PERRLA's features to work inside of like Google Docs or inside of Dropbox's paper editor, or anywhere else that you may need to take and sort of do some online typing and work. Awesome. So that is our brand new Google Chrome extension. We've got some more features planned for this in the coming year that we're really excited about giving you the options and the ability to take and get research out of websites or journal articles that you're looking at and putting those into PERRLA and making them accessible inside of PERRLA Online and PERRLA for Word. This is really, we think, going to be a great way to help PERRLA be a tool for you to collect, organize, format, and use your research while writing through the entire process. So if you have questions about the Google Chrome extension, one, our support team's here, and two, we're going to be coming back to it at the end if you have questions opening at that point. All right. Next thing we're going to talk about is searching for references. And for this, we're actually going to go over to PERRLA Online. We're going to be looking for some references in PERRLA Online. So here I am inside of PERRLA Online. This is our online application. We can take, and I'm just going to open up, this is a paper I always like to work on, Sasquatch, The Truth Revealed. And we're just going to add, let's add a couple new references to our paper. So let's go and search for a good Sasquatch article. I'm going to open up Google Scholar. Great place to start if you're not at the library. Well, let's look at Sasquatch. Here we go. All right, there's a couple. There's that Loescher article that we found and talked about earlier. Let's talk about, this is a book. We need a article. Forest vegetation change. This is actually at Sasquatch Lake. So we'll go with this one. Here we go. This is the Quaternary International Journal. Now I could take and I could use the Chrome extension here to generate this reference and then access it from my PERRLA reference library inside of PERRLA Online. But let's take and let's just copy this. And actually, I'm going to copy the DOI. I'm going to tell you why. When you go to create a new reference and you're going to search for a reference, you can search for books, journal articles, and websites using PERRLA. We can search for those major types of references. However, each of those reference types has a type of information that is particularly useful for it and is particular to that reference type. So for instance, a book. Books have ISBNs. I don't remember what ISBN actually stands for, but when you have a book, on the back, it's got a barcode. And that barcode says ISBN : and then it's got usually a 13-digit number beside it. That ISBN number is unique to the book that you have in your hand, and every book has a unique ISBN number. For journal articles, the unique piece of information is called a DOI, a digital object identifier, and it's unique for every single article that is published in a peer-reviewed journal. So when you are looking for, say, a book or a journal article, the more specific you can be, the better the search results are going to be. So if we're looking for a journal, if we have a DOI, searching for that journal using a DOI is going to give us the most accurate results. So I took and I copied the DOI out of this article. I'm going to come here and I'm going to paste it into the look up a reference search field. Then I'm going to click search. PERRLA's going to go out and it's going to look up that journal article's information, just like it did with the Chrome extension a little bit ago, and fill in our journal reference form for us. So as we can see, we have a journal article type. It's a single published article. Here is our author information, Colin Courtney Mustafi. I think that's, yeah, Courtney Mustafi. It's a double last name. Michael F.J. Pisarek, and then our article title right here. Just like before, we're going to check this Sasquatch Lake in Western Canada. And this is the Columbia Mountains. There we go. Our journal name, Quaternary International, 2018, volume 488. There was not a issue number, volume 488. They don't have issue numbers, so that's empty. Page numbers and our DOI. Perfect. All right. So when I'm searching for that, it's able to find that exact reference. Now I could come down here, I can click next and then create, and it's going to add it to my PERRLA reference library. But while we're on this, I'm going to show you one of our brand new features. Sometimes if you're searching for a journal article, you may not have a DOI. You may only have a URL. Well, URLs are usually default is to a web page. Web pages have URLs, but sometimes journal articles we access online that don't have a DOI. Well, sometimes if that pulls back and we can't find a DOI on that page for the journal article, PERRLA may think that, hey, maybe this actually is a web page and not a journal article. And one of the things about web pages and journal articles is that they italicize the parts of the reference different. So for a journal article, the article name is not in italics and the journal name is in italics. But for a website, it's the exact opposite. The web page, the specific page, is in italics and the website is not in italics. And I think that the APA does this so that you can tell web pages from journal articles at a glance in case they have similar information. But if you were to create that journal article using the web page reference type, the formatting will actually be backwards and incorrect. So we've added the ability for you to change the reference type that you're creating between the four major types of references available in PERRLA. That is books, journal articles, websites, and gray literature, which is kind of a catch-all for all sorts of odd ends and interesting things. So at the very top of our reference form, just change the reference type. Switch the type of reference PERRLA will create with the below information. So right now it's a journal because we think that this is a journal article, which we have good reason to think that it's a journal article because it has a DOI, and we use the DOI to search for it. However, if this is actually, say, a book, I can take, and from the drop-down list, I can choose book. PERRLA is going to take and it's going to update the reference form for the book reference type, and then it's going to fill in any corresponding information for a book. So these authors, they still would exist for a book, so they're pulled in. The book title, the article title is actually going to correspond most closely to the book title, and then the publisher. So for a journal, for an article, the publisher of the article is the journal name. So for a book, the journal name is going to become the publisher name. Hope that makes sense. We're going to still be able to pull in the publication year, and you can still use that DOI because sometimes books actually can have a DOI themselves. So we're going to fill that out, and we're going to update the reference form. But let's say actually this is possibly a website itself. Well, for a website, we still have our author information, our page title, that's going to correspond to the article title inside of a journal. Our website name is going to correspond to a journal name because it's kind of like the publisher of a website. We have our publication date that came across. We had the year, and we didn't actually have a URL. We just had a DOI, so we need to fill that in. But you know what? After looking at this actually is a journal article. So let's make it as a journal article. So let's go back to journal, and we'll see that all of our information goes right back to where it started off, with all of our information, publication year, volume, title, page numbers, DOI, and it looks great. All right, I'll click next, and then I'm going to click create. So that's a little bit about how you can search for references. The biggest takeaway is to know if you're looking for a journal article, if you have a DOI, use the DOI. If you have a book, use the ISBN right here, that 13-digit number. That's going to get you the exact book, the exact edition, everything right on with the least amount of effort. If you have a website, plug in that URL. That's going to be perfect. And if for some reason, when it's pulling back that information, it's not inserting it in the correct or corresponding type of reference you're trying to create, you can use our new reference dropdown at the very top of the form to change the reference type between the four major ones: book, website, journal, article, and gray literature. Awesome. So that's a little bit about searching for references, how you can get better search results, and how you can use our new reference change feature to make sure that you're creating the right type of reference for your paper. Last thing that we're going to cover before we open up to questions is customizing citations. And for this, we'll actually start off here inside of PERRLA Online, and then we'll actually move over into Microsoft Word, and I'll show you one of the new things that we're going to be doing later on this season. All right, so here I've got some great text, and I've got a number of citations already inside of this paper. So let's say that this sentence here about ecologist Robert Pyle says that these creatures are larger than life. They're larger than life creatures. We want to put a citation right here. And let's make this slightly different. Say, according to Dr. Allen, Allen's 2009 work, he says this, all right? So in this, we need to place a citation for this quote that we received from Dr. Allen. We're going to say it's from this article right here. Actually, let's go with Blazer. I'm sorry. Blazer is a much better name, and it's actually from 1987. His work, Sasquatch's Eponymous Abode. We're going to cite that. So I place my cursor where I want the citation to appear, and I'm going to choose Add Citation. Right? Normal, simple stuff here so far. First thing we're going to do, let's add a page number. Let's say this is page 35 is where I'm getting this quote from. But we already have Dr. Blazer's name in the sentence, so we can actually leave that out of the citation. Now, it's not wrong to include Dr. Blazer's name or to include Blazer in the citation. It's just a little superfluous because it's in the sentence twice. If we didn't say according to Dr. Blazer's 1987 work, then we'd absolutely need to have his name, Blazer, inside of the citation. But since we've already got it once, we don't need it a second time. So I'm just going to uncheck the box beside contributor's name, because Dr. Blazer is the contributor. He's the author of the work. So now our citation does not have Dr. Blazer's name inside of it. It's only inside of the text of the sentence. Now, you're a step ahead here. You know, we already say his 1987 work. So we don't need actually 1987 in the citation either. So I can uncheck date. That leaves us with just the third and missing piece of information, which is the page number where we received this information. So this actually looks great. So I'm going to click Create Citation. And just like before, PERRLA is going to create our citation for us and insert it into the body of our paper inside of a content control, inside of one of those protected boxes with just page 35. Let's say that actually I didn't have 1987 in here. Well, I can take and I can open this citation back up inside of PERRLA Online, and I can just add the date back to it. So that way we've got all the correct information available inside of it. 1987, page 35, just like that. All right, so that's how you can customize certain parts of a citation. I actually will show one other thing here before we move on to the next bit, which is that you can add custom parts. So let's say that it wasn't actually page 35, but it was, sub paragraph, or it was map 35. You know, came from a map, or it came from a screen 35. I could take and I could create whatever custom citation content I need inside of the location's position of a citation. I hope that makes sense. We did this a second ago for a video when we were looking at YouTube. Because it doesn't have a page number, we actually did timestamp. So you could do 1 minute and 4 seconds. You could do 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 15 seconds for a movie where this location exists. And that's the way that that's going to get formatted into a citation. I actually want this just to stay as page 35. So I'm just going to cancel. And it's just going to not make any changes whatsoever. Awesome. All right, let's talk about merging citations. This is something that happens inside of PERRLA Online and inside of the Microsoft Word add-in, where I may have a single piece of information that comes from 2 distinct places, or I take a little bit of information from Article 1, and I take a little bit of information from Book 2, and I put them together in the same sentence, but I need to cite both of them at the end of the sentence. And we can do that using PERRLA. So let's take this. Many names meant something along the lines of wild man or hairy man or whatever. Let's say that this actually came from Blazer, and we'll say it came from page 52. All right. And this actually also came from a work by Childress. So what I'm going to do is I need to put this citation inside of the parentheses for this other citation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my cursor. I'm going to select the citation. So you can see I select the citation. It's going to be blue. Inside of Microsoft Word, we'd see our cursor inside of the citation. Now that I have that citation selected, I can come in here to the Childress reference, and I can add a citation for this. This is actually going to come from page 125. This is a long book. And now I click Create Citation. PERRLA is going to take and it's going to insert that Childress reference, that second reference, into the parentheses for that first citation. Now, although Childress comes after Blazer, if we had done, say, the Allen reference up here, we can do that again. So I'll select the citation. Now I'm going to cite this Allen work, and this is going to be an indirect citation. PERRLA knows that A comes before B and C comes after B. And so it's going to place all of the works inside that set of parentheses in the correct spot and in the correct order. It's also going to be able to keep up with if it's the first time a citation has been used versus subsequent time that a citation has been used, in case it's a group organization that has an abbreviation for the organization name, in which case it needs to change between the first and subsequent citations. And PERRLA handles all of that for you. So you can merge citations together by creating a citation, then placing your cursor inside that citation and creating the second citation. PERRLA is going to handle everything else for formatting, ordering, and updating for you. So There we go. All right. Now, last thing that we're going to do before we jump into questions here is we're actually going to look at a new Microsoft Word document. This is a Microsoft Word document with the PERRLA add-in available inside of it. And I've got just a little bit of pre-filled text here. And let me make this really nice and big so that we can see it and dive in to it well. We know that content controls can be annoying. We find them annoying ourselves, but it's one of the ways that Microsoft Word allows us to create content inside of a document and make sure that that content stays formatted correctly for the paper that you've created. Having helped students for over 20 years, literally 23 years now, PERRLA started in 1998, for 23 and a half years, write APA and MLA papers, we have seen students shoot themselves in the foot so many times by us creating a reference or creating a citation for them, and then they take and they alter it, and they didn't realize that they had altered it. So content controls inside the recent versions of Microsoft Word allow us to create that content and make sure that that content stays formatted correctly. And like you saw, we're handling all of these sort of variations of citations with merge citations and ordering them correctly and updating the first and subsequent citations and stuff like that for you so that you know your citations are going to be formatted correctly when you're using PERRLA. However, there are some weird things about content controls. Content controls, if you use PERRLA at all right now, you know they are greedy. They like to suck up the space next to them. And so when you're inside of a content control, for instance, when I'm inside of this citation, I'm unable to type. I cannot type because that's protected content. And right now, those citations include the opening and closing parenthesis, the two parentheses on either side of the citation's content. And those content controls are in there. So if you're trying to type and you place your cursor beside that parenthesis at the end, that blue box will show up and you're not going to be able to continue typing. And the solution is really simple, but it's to press the right arrow key, to use the right arrow key to get outside of that content control and be able to start typing again so that it closes and that blue box goes away. This, at the end of this semester, after the semester's papers are all wrapped up and we have a nice little break before starting a new semester and a new set of papers, we're going to be making a change to these content controls. And we're actually going to be placing those parentheses outside of the content control instead of inside it. Now, this means two things, one good and one a little precautionary. The precautionary thing is that those parentheses, and I've got them here in this paper, they can be deleted. You can remove them as a student, in which case that's not technically correct anymore. But you can also add them back very easily. So the parentheses become in your control. Now, there's two actually good things about this. One, it means that when you create a citation and you place that cursor beside the citation, right beside the closing parenthesis, you can just keep typing like normal. You don't have to worry about whether your cursor's inside or outside of a content control. So that's the one good thing. It kind of takes part of that annoying factor away from content controls. And then the other thing that's really helpful here is that you can actually continue to customize these citations with internal text now. So let's say that I have this citation by Bellamy here, and that I actually need to put some text before we get to the Bellamy part. So as quoted in Bellamy, I can add that additional sort of contextual element into this citation. Or let's say at the end of this citation, I actually have see section 4 for additional material. I can add in the additional sort of context at the end of that citation. Now, the really nice thing here is that the Bellamy part, the part that has to be formatted in that very specific APA format, remains inside of a content control. It remains connected to PERRLA so that if I come over here to this reference right here, and I said, oh, you know what? This actually isn't from 2019. It's from 2018. And I accidentally typed in the wrong year. Well, I can come over and I can change this to 2018. And because that content control is still there, when I update this reference, PERRLA knows where that citation is, and it's going to be able to update that piece of the citation for me automatically. Now that I can also continue to use things like merging citations. So if I place my cursor inside of this citation, and then I also want to cite bomb in this, I can create that bomb citation, and it's going to be able to create that merge citation inside of here automatically, and it knows that that's there and it works correctly. Like I mentioned, this is something that we're going to be adding at the end of this semester. And we're really excited about this because it's going to make working with those citations and those content controls a little easier for students, give you a little bit more flexibility in adding context inside of your citations, as well as continuing to protect and ensure that the citations you create and the content inside of them is formatted correctly for the type of work that you are creating. Super helpful. Awesome. I'm glad you like that, Terrence. We are really, really excited about this ability. And we're really excited, but we don't want to, we're making sure that it is fully tested, that it is really, solid when it comes out. There's no ifs or things that gotchas kind of hidden behind it. We also want to make sure we're going to try to do this at the end of the semester so that all those big papers you're currently working on, you don't have this kind of transition or change that you're going to have to learn, right in the middle of doing your midterm paper or your final paper. So we'll do this so it'll be ready for the January rollout. Awesome. That's all the things that we wanted to cover here today. We talked about the Google Chrome extension, how you can take and you can use it to create references while you're doing your research, and then copy those references and create and copy citations out of it in case you're working on a discussion post or writing somewhere where you don't have PERRLA available to you. Now, PERRLA is always available to you. We also talked about searching for references, how you can best search for journals, books, and websites using a DOI for journals, ISBNs for books, and URLs for website, or in case you get the wrong reference type, being able to change the reference type inside the reference form when searching for those references. The last thing we talked about was customizing citations, how you can create custom citations, how those content controls work, how you can use merge citations and create custom locations for citations. And then also we looked a little bit about how we're going to be updating things at the end of the semester. So that's it. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we do have an amazing US-based customer support team. They're available every day until 10 p.m. Central Time. You can email them directly at support@perrla.com or through the PERRLA applications. And then we also have a help center at perrla.com/help, where you can find all sorts of articles, tutorials, and videos on how to use PERRLA, including a brand new section for the Google Chrome extension. So with that, let's take some questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'll open up my chat, and then I'm going to open up the ability that if you want to unmute yourself, you absolutely are more than welcome, or you can take and drop a question into chat. All right, go for it. Any questions? Is there any way to increase the page view in PERRLA? Great question. Are you talking about PERRLA, like let me share my screen again. Inside of PERRLA Online, make this bigger. Is that what you're talking about? I just want to make sure that I'm answering the right question here. Yes. Okay, perfect. Yeah, PERRLA Online by default, we tried to do something that would be pretty comparable for sort of the wide variety of page layouts or laptop layouts that there are. You do have some things that are available to you that can make this a little bit better. The best one and the most effective one is actually by resizing the browser view itself. So on a Mac computer, you can press the command button, which is right beside the keyboard. You can either press the let me do that in here, the plus or the minus to make PERRLA's content bigger or smaller. So if you're on a smaller screen, you can press command minus to make everything on the screen smaller so that you have more space. Or if you're on a really giant screen, you can take and use command plus to make it larger. On Windows, It is control. So instead of pressing command and minus and command and plus, you can use control plus and control minus. And that's pretty universal across browsers. That's the best thing because it's going to keep sort of it'll keep most of the sort of spacing and the layout and the look consistent so that as things get added and moved, it continues to stay spaced properly. That's your best bet, and it's going to give you the most control for your browser. Great question, Terrence. Import, yes. Terrence asked, do we have any plans to import references from other formats? We do have plans for that. We have plans for you to be able to import. I know that there are many other reference managers out there. Mendeley, Zotero. There's another one that I'm forgetting about. EndNote, and that many online databases will have. Let's see if this one has Add to Mendeley, where you can download sort of a document or a file that will be a reference formatted for you, or that references information. Yes, we do have plans to support that. It's just a matter of time. We're a small team. Thank you very much, Jux. And it's just trying to get to it. But yes, we want to be able to support that so you can actually import your references. And at the same time, we would like to be able to support exporting those references. We think PERRLA is the best, but if for some reason you want to go somewhere else, at the same time, we want to give you that option. So that is in our roadmap, just sort of trying to get to a place where we can get it put in. Absolutely. Glad to hear that that's important for everybody. Absolutely, not a problem for backup purposes. Just a little bit about us and the way that we back up. We take daily backups of our entire server and database, so that everything is we've always got redundancies built in, and then we never delete customer data. So if you are done with PERRLA and you don't need any more, your subscription ends. That's awesome. That's totally fine. We hang on to your papers and your references for you in case you do need them again in the future. So if a year from now you come back and say, oh, I need that paper and I can't find it anymore. Well, we've got a copy of it waiting for you in your PERRLA account. That if you just email us, we'll absolutely be able to get that to you. Yeah, backing up references, being able to have that locally just in case. I totally understand that. But we do a lot right now with our server and databases to make sure that the stuff is secure, safe, and there for you no matter when you need it. Great questions, Terrence. Okay. Well, thank you guys all so much for joining us today. Like I said, we're going to be hosting a recording of this office hours on YouTube. If you do have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our support team. We love to hear from you. We'll do whatever we can to get you working again, and solve your problems and answer your questions. You can reach out to us at support@perrla.com. Just email us. We'll be there. So thank you so much. And everybody have a great day, and good luck, good writing with your final papers. Thanks. Bye.